Hi, it's Gosia here. In this video, I wanted to share an amazing shift for anyone who is feeling stuck, who is overthinking a lot, who has problem with taking decision and taking action in their life. Things like procrastination, stuckness, and general stagnation are kind of a common thread that I've noticed recently coming up, and this is what I wanted to share with you because the story that happened to me was quite extraordinary, and the shifts that I was able to pull out of this, the insights and the things that I've researched following my story, they confirm exactly what needs to happen for people who are looking to become unstuck. As I hinted just now, the shift that I have to share with you, it starts with my story. And the story is quite important because it illustrates exactly what I was able to look back at that contributed to me being stuck, the mistakes that people typically make that makes them be stuck and keeps them stuck. And through seeing this story and how I tell it very specifically, you will be able to understand the keys to becoming unstuck, to finally moving forward without that hesitation, without that doubt. So as I'm saying, it starts with a story of some kind of dissatisfaction. And it's a story that relates to my business. And you have to know my business was pretty successful. It's a coaching and consulting business, helping people metaphysically heal, which is no longer running. And what started it being dissatisfied with it was I loved working with clients. I loved seeing the transformation, but I didn't agree anymore with simply alleviating pain, with troubleshooting problems. I wanted to focus on creating. And if you just take a note of what I'm saying right now, you will be able to laugh at this by the end of this video. Because this is the exact thing that I had to learn myself. Sometimes the universe gives us lessons and puts us into difficult positions so that we have to learn something. And that was a major lesson that I had to learn. So as I was saying, it started with my business and me being dissatisfied with it. A grain of dissatisfaction that progressively grew into something bigger that really made me feel like I had to change something. So the dissatisfaction, the pain in general, what I call it, is what often people start being stuck with. And from then on, I started looking at ways to get out of this pain, to end this suffering. And the more I looked, the more I felt I don't have that much choice. I kept thinking about what can I do, how to pivot in my business, what decisions, what changes do I make in order for me to feel more fulfilled, more happy, more aligned with my purpose. And the decisions I was considering were trying to solve the problem of dissatisfaction, but I caught myself having maybe one or two options that none of which would satisfy me. I was trying to overthink and overanalyze to the very detail. What would that entail? And how would that affect me? How would that refer back to the dissatisfaction? And would I be far away enough from that original dissatisfaction had I taken that choice. And that is another common thread, trying to problem solve things. You have to know about me that I'm a natural action taker. For the largest part of my life, I never had a problem with taking action. And this can also relate to me being an artist, that I always had a bigger vision. I never feared moving forward. But for some reason, there was a fear in this situation that I experienced, and that was very foreign to me. I was not used to feeling that way, and my body started really reflecting that mental pattern that I created. The more I was overthinking, the more I was overanalyzing and procrastinating, I noticed in my body it was giving me the same exact manifestations. So, for example, I would feel the decrease in my circulation in the way that my hands and my feet became really cold, which was unusual for me. I noticed the digestion slowed down, and in general, the mornings were very, slow. I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't feel motivated. I felt like, I was just so fatigued all the time. That was so new to me, the person that I would always get up 6 or whatever time I was getting up in the morning, ready to do my meditation, do my yoga, or whatever I was doing. And this state was not me. It was definitely not me. And the more I got into this procrastination and overthinking, indecision, the more my body was giving me those signals. And you have to know this thing about me and my body, that over time, when I gradually, in 3 big stages, I became more and more awakened, my body became very sensitive to any imbalances of energy and my thinking. It became so that it's some kind of a barometer of my level of alignment. And I can tell very fast what for people would take a long time or to a lesser degree to notice. And maybe they wouldn't be able to even see their relationship with their mental patterns. But because of my history of mind-body discoveries that I've made over the last 7 years, I knew exactly that there was a deep imbalance in my body. And when the last thing happened, listen, you guys, my knees started swelling up. And in metaphysics, this is the clearest sign on earth that the forward motion that the knee joints are responsible for are so stagnated, like there is complete lack of flow of fluids and detoxifying in the body. So it told me that my body is becoming more and more intoxicated by my own thinking patterns, my own lack of forward motion, my own lack of action. When this happened, I had to put a stop to it. And guys, it's not just me being weird, and it's not just my body being some kind of quirky freak of nature. It is a very well-researched topic in the areas that I'm talking about, in metaphysics and in holistic medicine, where I knew that overthinking reflects in our body, because we have to digest our thoughts. We have to move through the energy. And what happens when you're overthinking and being indecisive, when you're stuck, it literally stagnates the function of certain organs, and specifically your spleen. And if you're interested in knowing more about this, I'm sure you can find some information about it, especially in Chinese medicine. But I had to share that story so that you know how much of a problem that is when you have that mental pattern, and how hard, what's the reason why it's so hard to move out of this. You become literally tangled into this deeper and deeper because of this connection of mind body, and it proves everything you might have heard of how thoughts and physical realm are connected. You can really see it with your bare eyes, how much your thoughts impact on your body and how much they impact on the physical realm in effect. So as much as that is an interesting situation, I wanted to move on with the shifts that I have to offer and the discoveries that I had to make. So after this happened, obviously I had to put a stop to it. I had to really get to the root of the problem and why all of a sudden I was unable to move forward. Like I said, it used to not be a problem for me. So I wanted to look at my old ways versus within this few months time when it happened, when I became stuck. What was different? What kind of mistakes did I do over the period of development of this stuckness? So what I realized, what I noticed is that the core of the issue was that I was motivated all of a sudden by fear and dissatisfaction and pain. Exactly the thing I wanted to seize in what I was offering in my business. I wanted to avoid serving that kind of premise and helping people just alleviate pain through changes. I really had to experience this myself. So my mental pattern that was completely wrong, that you might have experienced, is so common because an average person, most of people that there has been a study that researched this, are motivated by fear and an away action. So how this happens is there is some pain, fear, or dissatisfaction that makes people take action. And because people can only take through referring to this a very limited number of options, it serves as if that's an elastic band of some sort. You always can move just a little, like a couple of steps forward before you go back. It always pulls you back to this original place because you're always referring to this in the back of your mind. And everything, all the solutions that you're trying to create always refer back to original pain. This is the biggest problem that I experienced, the biggest mistake that I made. And this is the core of mistakes that every single person who is stuck makes. Even if you were to pause this video and look back at your own story, I can guarantee you there is some level of dissatisfaction, pain, or something of that sort that made you become stuck from moving forward. Some fear. So I want to encourage you to introspect on this because that will be the key finding for you. So what to do with this from then on, right? You know what's the mistake that we do, but how to get out of this, because this is exactly why you're watching this video, right? I'm sure stuck person is super impatient to become unstuck, and it took me a long time to get to this point. So how you want to get unstuck is by creating something that will make you move forward rather than away from. By creating a vision that is larger than your circumstances, by creating a way of looking that is bigger than simply believing that you are limited by your situation, because this is another way of phrasing the mistake. When you create a vision that simply includes what is there, when you accept, okay, this is what I'm experiencing right now, but this is not what will limit me. When you create a vision of what you want to see, what you would love to have, rather than just problem solving, then you are able to create that forward motion and channel your energy so that the problems that you experience daily all of a sudden don't become, just the core of your focus. For people who are stuck, they believe they are limited by their circumstances. And the ideas that they produce, they simply cannot go beyond that. And that you simply cannot channel that energy in the right way. Problem solving, it becomes the goal in itself. So creating a vision is a way of bypassing all those problems. Because when you create a vision of what you want to create that is independent from the circumstances, I can guarantee you will be able to solve those problems like that. Because these don't become the focus of your energy. I'll give you a great example of a person who is stuck in their job, perhaps, and they don't like this job. It's very common that people don't like their jobs, and the goal of their lives is simply to fight with their colleagues or prove themselves to the boss and defend themselves. It all revolves around the circumstances, right? And the goal is simply to alleviate that pain and how much you can fight, how much you can win in those little situations of daily drama. But if that person have created a bigger vision of what they want to create in their life, independent from the circumstances that they can see, that could be maybe creating a business, or even that was a passion, not creating business, but if there was even a passion that they want to develop, the days inside their workplace would look completely different. I can tell you because I also experienced this, where instantly when I was disappointed, I created something bigger. And I've seen it a number of times when people create something larger than what they see. And the energy goes out to the vision. So the days would be like focus on maybe what I'm going to do when I come back from work, being so excited and so energized to think about those new ideas that you want to try, and focusing on what kind of people can I talk about this subject, and maybe I can find a community that is also interested. And all of a sudden your life is becoming richer, and the energy goes out towards this vision, this passion of yours. It becomes less focused on the circumstances, and you simply solve those problems because this is not the essence of your life, to simply solve those problems. It's not the goal of your existence. So the big thing that you want to big shift if you're being unstuck, when you're being stuck, is to create a vision that would be larger than your circumstances, that is not limited by what you are seeing, and then keep channeling your energy there. And obviously that entails taking some action, and the messy action is what you want to take in the beginning. My problem was I was believing I didn't have enough clarity how to move forward, and I kept telling myself that story in my head. I don't have enough clarity. Where will the clarity appear from? What is the best decision to make? Another thing you want to do is to challenge your mental pattern. Really capture what is the story you are telling yourself. What is the story that you keep repeating and that you're believing, and you're simply trying to solve the problem? In my situation, there was a problem with not having clarity. I believed this. But the way to move out of this, I challenged this and I asked myself, where do I have that clarity in my life? I looked at my whole life and I started putting lists together. I have clarity about where am I in my relationships. I have clarity about what do I love in my life. I have clarity about my values. I have clarity about where do I want to live, and that kind of things. And even if they are not related, it unblocks that energy because you have challenged your mental pattern. And unblocking of any levels of that energy is what will help you become unstuck. So these two things in themselves are super important milestones that will help you become unstuck. And knowing that any action that you're going to take is going to be an imperfect action, and that you do not need to know all the answers up front. You simply need to start moving towards that vision, that thing that you want to see in your life, what you would love to build. Because the steps that you will take will give you in return feedback of how to do it. You will learn through your mistakes, what we call them, and I call them lessons. How do you move forward? How to navigate towards that vision? And no longer you are stagnated, stuck in one place. After having experienced this, the way the universe works, I received to my hands a couple of books that told me about very similar ideas that I can refer back to you if you want to read about them. One is a book, The Path of Least Resistance by Robert Fritz, and he's a master in explaining how people should move towards creating rather than problem solving. And another book is The Interview with the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and he also had to experience that state of indecision and stuckness just as I did, to have realized that this is exactly what he needed to learn, having been always that person, never blocked by that energy. And the last thing that I want to really pull out of this, and it's the essence of the whole video for you, to learn and take decisions, any decision of your life, that are motivated by faith rather than fear. Whenever you become stuck, you always have a choice between these two things. When you decide anything motivated motivated by your fear, you will become more stuck. And when you move towards something that you have faith in, but it's full of uncertainty, it's full of messiness, but you put faith, you're willing to risk it, then you will always move forward away from stuckness, and you will always move towards creating life. And this is where the life force energy goes. And this is how I want to end this video, with telling you how my story ended. My story ended in the way that I don't feel stagnated in my body anymore. It became almost to normal, back to normal. And I have taken action to doing exactly what I wanted to take. And actually starting YouTube channel was exactly the thing that I wanted to take action on. So the moral of this story is simply move towards where the faith is, opposed to being motivated by fear. See you in the next video.